So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a very common example. Allah tells us, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the meaning, and whoever fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ, whoever has this consciousness, whoever has piety and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way out for them and provide for them a way, or give them something from where they did not know it would come from. So if we look backwards in the ayah, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give something to somebody without from an area or from a place that they did not think it would come from that way. Subhanallah. Maybe some wealth or some help comes your way and you think, I just don't know where that came from. Subhanallah, Allah helped me and provided for me. I didn't know that the help was going to come from that place or from that person. What precedes that is what? Is that you have taqwa, is that you have piety, you have consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a fundamental element in us receiving provisions from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Is for us to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And part of our fear and part of our worshipping Allah Jalla wa ala is to rely on Him, is that He's the one who provides for us. That means you have to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a very important verse for us to understand, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us, provide for us, give to us and provide for us, as long as we are then conducting ourselves in the correct way, and that is having taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah Jalla wa ala grant us taqwa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the correct understanding of this particular matter. Allahumma ameen. So it is necessary for us to combine between having tawakkul and rely and carrying out the means. Not to rely on the means. Like, for example, Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who cures. As Ibrahim says, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. And if I become ill, it is He subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who cures. Now, where is the cure? The cure could be in your supplication. The cure could be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places it in a medicine that you may take. But Allah Jalla wa ala is the one who cures you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that a means. Because you may find two people, okay, they both take the same medicine. And for one person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that a source of cure. For an individual, another person, it is not, even though they took the same medicine. So the cure ultimately is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The medicine is a means, okay? But it is important for you to take that means. Okay, it's not necessarily for you just to sit back and don't do nothing and think, oh Allah, all these things will happen. Okay? So therefore, brothers and sisters, with regards to tawakkul, these two fundamental principles in understanding it correctly is of the utmost importance. And number one, that is what? Is to understand, to have correct reliance, to entrust your affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then for you to undertake the necessary means for that what you desire, or that what you want to achieve, for you to take the necessary means towards that. If you want Allah Azza wa Jalla to provide for you, you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you wealth, therefore you go out and work. You go out and you struggle and you strive to provide for yourself and your families. This is essential for us to understand that. And as I mentioned to you, the example of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, where he found those people in the masjid. Similarly, we find in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, right in the end of Surah Al-Jumu'ah, verse number 10, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And when the Jumu'ah prayer, when it is ended, and you disperse upon the earth, وَبَتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. You seek the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you go to Jumu'ah, or you go to any salah for that matter, and you're in your salah and you're saying, oh Allah, forgive me. Oh Allah, have mercy upon me. Oh Allah, forgive my sins. And then you say, Allahumma razuqani. Oh Allah, provide for me. Okay? When you're doing this in your salah, when you attend the masjid, وَبَتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. Okay? Then you disperse on the earth, you leave the masjid, you go back to your business, you go back to your life. This is where you will seek the blessings and the sustenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you doing something. The Muslims, brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, Islam did not spread throughout the lands by the Muslims just sitting in the masajid, okay? No. There was a time to attend the masjid, to attend the jama'ah, to attend salah, for them to read the Quran, understand the Quran, to gather knowledge. And through this beneficial knowledge, there was what? The understanding that they had to then go out and make amal. Two very simple words, al-ilmu wal-amalu. The same three letters, except that they're in a slightly different order. Ilmu, ayn, lam, mim, ilmun. And then amal, ayn, mim, lam. So the Muslim always recognizes and knows that with this knowledge, there is the responsibility of acting upon that particular knowledge.